What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. BTC USD. We're looking at it on the Coinbase chart. Actually, I might use the all-time history index. You can look it up yourself too. BTC USD on TradingView. If you type that up, you'll see the index here. This is the all-time history index. It is the beginning of November. I want to do a November analysis and kind of show you guys some things that I've noticed throughout my time trading and investing in Bitcoin. In November, if I remember correctly, it's been a year since I've talked about this, or at least that I've gone over it in my own head. But November is notorious for 20% drops in the Bitcoin price or greater. Not always, but commonly enough, but frequently enough. We're going to go over that right now. Okay, so looking at this thing on the weekly, we're not going to obviously look right here because we've just started this month, but let's go back to last November. Okay, November here, November 2022. Well, this might be a little bit unfair because, yes, this was the top. Okay, November to the 1st of December, this was the first week of December here, let's say the last week, we had a 40% drop last November. Okay, let's continue. We're just going to keep going back. That was 2020. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was 2021. That was not last November. Let's go over last November, man. Last November. That was 2021. So in the very beginning of November, again, right? First week technically. Let's see. I wonder what that would have been. Oh, that's not right. Let's see. This was November 5th. It was, yes. So this top was November 5th. If I go onto the weekly here, it says that this was October 31st, but that was just the beginning of the week. So the top of this week actually was in November, so I'm going to use that. Top to bottom, yep, within November, that was a 26.46% drop. So big drops in November, the last 2 years. Which might actually lead me to believe that we might not see a drop, but let's see. This November here, we did not drop, right? We did not drop too hard. So from here, we actually continue to go up, but in the month of November, before the month was over, from top to bottom here, we did drop 16.87%. Now that's not 20%, but that is close. It's basically 17%, but that is pretty close, but still a more or less significant drop. To be fair, this was well after the halving, right? We're before the halving right now. This was after, like, we kind of broke out and we were, let's see, this was basically at all-time highs, previous all-time highs over here. So different circumstances than we're in now, right? This is pre-halving, where this was post-halving. We're nowhere near our all-time highs. Here we were actually right at the all-time highs, previous all-time highs. So, and the RSI was way stronger than what we're experiencing now on the weekly basis. So just keep that in mind, different kind of circumstances, but still somewhat of a drop, but not as bearish as we've seen previously. And that was, again, the November of 2020. So now let's go to 2019, November, yeah, something like that during this week, all the way down to the end of November here. That was a 34% drop. Yet again, another big one. That was 2019. We're going to go to 2018 now. Where are you at, 2018? Oh, another big one. Another big one. And again, this might be different market conditions to keep in mind as well. This was toward like the end of the bear market. I think it's safe to say that we've already seen the end of the bear market, and this makes sense. At the end of the bear market, you get the biggest that we've measured so far, 46%. We probably won't see that in November, right? A 46% drop from here, guys. Well, I guess it would be from, because we're not doing it from the top, we're doing it from the beginning of the month, right? A 47% drop would take us all the way below 20K. I don't think that's going to happen. I guess it could happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. So that was 2018. Let's go back to 2017 here. 2017, November, another kind of bullish one, but you did have a drop. That was 30%. You continued to move up. You closed the month bullishly. You did close the month in the green, but you had a 30% drop in that month, okay? Actually, in the first half of the month. This drop came, I guess it started in the first half of the month. This drop happened in the beginning of the month as well. This one happened toward the end of the month, right? Bullish beginning of the month. Maybe that's an inclination. This one happened in the in the first half, but kind of like in the middle, I would say, and into the end of it. But let's just keep going back. Okay, so 2017, 30%. 2016 now, going back. Where are you? Okay, here. This might have been a bullish one, actually. Again, this was on October 31st at the week open down here, so I would assume that this was sometime in November that this top happened. And then down, this was actually the most bullish November that we've seen. This was in an 8% drop, but this was also another post-halving year, right? The halving happened, I believe, in 2016. It happened in July, I want to say. So this was post-halving, again, in the midst of the bull rally, something to take into consideration, okay? Let's go to the one that happened just before the halving, the same kind of conditions we're in now, right? Let's see, 2015. 2015's November. Okay, yeah, this makes sense, right? From the top here to the bottom, you dropped 40%. 40%. I don't know if we're going to see a 40% drop, guys. I really don't expect that personally. We haven't seen this kind of immense growth without being checked back. We have been checked and balanced all the way through this year, so I don't think we're going to see that 40% drop. But that's two 40% drops, to be completely fair. And there's another thing I want to analyze once we're done with this. I want to go over, but I'll show you what I mean in a second. But let's see here. If you're bored, I'm sorry, but this should be interesting, man. This is technical analysis at its finest. From top to bottom here in 2014, we are going over every November. This is very specific. 28% drop yet again, over 20%, right? And that was 2014. Okay. Toward the end of the bear market, again, you know, maybe different conditions. We were yet to find our low at that point. 2013, let's see, November here. Ooh, this was a bullish one, man. From top to bottom here, 18.6%, still a relatively decent drop, right? If we were to drop 18.6, I know I keep going back and forth, guys, I'm sorry. If we were to drop 18.6% from here, or like even 17%, right? Something like that. That would still take us below 30K. So below 30K prices are possible. They definitely are possible. You know, I've been thinking that they weren't possible, but they are possible actually. November of 2012 now, right? Because that wasn't that 20? Yeah, it was 2013. So 2012, another halving year. This was a post-halving year in 2012. See here, might be the most bullish one so far. So from top to bottom, only a 5% drop throughout the month. Nice, very, very bullish. But again, a post-halving year. I think it might have been June or maybe it was earlier. I forget when this halving date was, but I know it was in 2012. So this was a post-halving cycle. 11 in November. Let's see here, 31st of October, and then it went down, so maybe we're not going to do that. But from top to bottom here, 37.88% drop. Again, at the end of the bear market, maybe don't throw that into consideration. I mean, throw it into consideration, but don't hold that. You know, like don't hold it too high and tight. And then 2010 November, yet again. Yeah, 1st of November was this week, so we can go from the top to the bottom. Actually, the most bearish drop that we've seen so far, 72%. But that was the very first November that we'd ever seen, right? That was in 2000. Oh, no, 2009 we got one as well. Of course. I think it's Bitcoin's birthday, isn't it? Or is it not? No, okay. We've got price action before. Wasn't it October 31st was Bitcoin? I'm going to look that up real quick. Happy Halloween, everybody, by the way. But a 54% drop there. Let's look it up. When is Bitcoin's birthday? October 31st, 2008. Happy birthday, Bitcoin. Yep. I thought it was, but I just forget sometimes, man. But yeah, it is its birthday. Yeah, good job. Okay, so throughout all of its time, happy Halloween, happy birthday, everybody. 54%, 72%, 37%, negative 5%, negative 18%, 28%, 40%, 8%, 30%, 46, 34, 16, 39, 26. What is going to happen this month? Okay. There have been some where we did not drop 20%. There was 1, 2, 3, 4. And the whole history of Bitcoin's Novembers, which since 2009, right, 10, in 14 years, 3 of them have not been greater than a 20% drop, okay? 3 of them have been less than a 20% drop. And one of them here was post-halving cycle, okay? Another one here was also post-halving, right? Or I guess, no, that's 2013. Of course it's post-halving, but it's toward the end of the bull market, so different conditions still. And then negative 8% here, also post-halving right there. Didn't we have an, okay, so there's 4. I'm sorry, 4. 4 out of 14, but again, another post-halving. So all of those have either been at the end of the bull market or within the year after the halving, within even like a half a year after the halving. We're in different circumstances than any of those. So I just want to throw that into the equation. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't drop less than 20%. We obviously could see a drop less than 20%. That doesn't mean that we have to drop more than 20% from here. Maybe we go up first, and then we go down. You know, that's totally possible. But at some point in this month of November, I would expect that we see something between, let's see, excluding all the ones that are less than 20%, the smallest one we've got is 26%, and then 28%. So at a minimum, potentially, we could see a 26% pullback. And if this is the high that we're seeing that happen from, which it may be, it may not be, we still have a whole week to go, basically, we have 5 days left. But from this top, 26% at a minimum, because everything else has been greater than that, right? 26% at a minimum would take us all the way back down to these lows, all the way back down there, which would be insane, man. That, you know, that again is the smallest move that we've seen so far. Could we go further than that? Could we do something that's even below these lows? Absolutely, we could. We absolutely could. And I know that that's scary. Could we do something that's less than 26%? Could we do something that's like maybe closer to that 20% level? Sure. You know, a 20% move would still take us to about 27.8K. But man, when you look at how bearish November's been historically for Bitcoin, it sets in a fear factor, man. And speaking of fear, let's look at the crypto fear and greed index. For those of you who haven't been so bored that you've just like left this video already, you know, stick around. We're going over very important shit right now, okay? Fear and greed index. Greed. Very greedy for a time that we have historically not done well. Like at all, actually, right? This one, let's look at specifically pre-halving November. So this was right before the halving. This was the November right before the halving. 34% drop. Let's see, 2016 here, November of 2015. This was your pre-halving. 40% drop. 2012. This would be your, but that was at the end of the bear market. Still a 37% drop. I don't know if I would take that into consideration. Maybe, I don't know. But they've all been big, man. They've actually all been bigger than 30%, which again, a 30% drop wouldn't just take us below these lows, but that would take us well below these lows. That would take us at like 25K, 24K. Sorry, yeah, about 24K, which would make sense to a certain degree, right? Because we have weekly closes here. That would actually make a lot of sense. If you take your low to high here, I mean, that's kind of not really anywhere. Maybe you would go a little bit lower. I don't know, man. You could go all the way to your 618 at this rate, man. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. Hard to say. You know, I got to be honest, guys. I came into this video not expecting it to be this bearish, to be completely fair. We had a very massive move up, okay, over the past couple weeks with not a lot of volume. This is on the index, so maybe that's not the best thing to go off of. Let's go on the USDT chart on Binance. Not a lot of volume. We broke out of this range that we've been consolidating, and look at what happened whenever we were building out. Look at how much volume we had, but not a lot of volume now. There's all this bullish media going on, and man, this is kind of intimidating, to say the least, for sure, because the implications of Bitcoin dropping this much, weigh very heavy on most altcoins in the space, like very, very heavy. And then, I want to go back. I want to go back and just show too, after this drop, you had a nice recovery, very immediate recovery. Going into the end of the year and into the beginning of the next year, you had a very nice recovery. And that was your or your pre-halving one. 2015 here, very nice recovery, very speedy recovery, right? Here as well, which was at the end of the bear market, but still a pre-halving November, very nice recovery. So there are good things on the horizon, but for what we can see in front of our face right now, this is kind of intimidating, man. This video took a whole different tone than I really expected it to. I was expecting to say that we were going to have a decently red November, but man, shit just got real, kind of, man. I felt my heart sink a little bit. It makes me scared. It actually makes me scared for altcoins. It really does make me scared for altcoins. For Bitcoin, whatever. Bitcoin, a 20% drop, 30% drop for Bitcoin ain't shit. But a 30% drop for Bitcoin, what does that mean for altcoin? Like, altcoins are going to drop a lot if Bitcoin drops that much, man. Like, statistically speaking, that's how it is. Bitcoin drops 1%, altcoins drop 10%, 2%. 5%, right? For every 10% Bitcoin drops, altcoins drop 20%, 30%. Like, if it drops 30%, if it drops 20% or more, you're looking at crypto across the board losing like half its valuation, or at least like 30 to 40% of its valuation, if not more. Scary. That's scary shit, man. Mega bearish stuff for sure. But there is hope. Hope in that the fact that previous actions do not guarantee future results. We are at different times every year, but more or less, like technical analysis and price movements, they habituate, they stay the same. You are overbought right now. You had a very nice move up with very low volume. It's not encouraging. On the daily, you do have bearish divergence showing. I know this looks like kind of like a bull pennant or a flag, a little bit of consolidation, but you do have bearish divergence. You've been very overbought for a while. For Bitcoin, guys, being up at this level, that is a very high mark. Okay, the last time we were this high was all the way back in January of this year, and we saw during that time, oh shit, we actually saw a very high and tight consolidation and continued to go higher. We actually did continue to go higher, but the difference being we had a lot of volume on the breakout up, where here, I guess, I don't know. That's good. I'm getting a little bit more excited. That's not bad. Let's see. This was in January. And then, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe this November won't be too bad. But I don't know, man. Just because, again, just because we've gone over this by Novembers does not mean that this November has to be bearish. But just statistically speaking, the odds are not looking good, guys. The odds are not looking good. There's something else I wanted to look at real quick. Hold on. You had 1, 2, 3, and then a decent one. 1, 2, 3 bearish Novembers, and then one decent one. You had another decent one. Then you had 1, 2, and then a bearish one. You had 1, 2, 3, and then a non-20% one. 1, 2, it could be here, but sometimes I'd say actually technically more out of all the times, we've had 2 times that have been 3 Novembers that were greater than a 20% loss, and only 1 time where, or was it 2 times? No, it was 1 time. So 3 times where we had 3 Novembers in a row of 20% or greater loss. 1 time where we had 2 Novembers in a row with a 20% or greater loss. Right now we do have 2 times with 20% or greater loss. It could make sense that we see a less than 20% loss here this month. But again, statistically speaking, every pre-halving November that we've had, going into the halving, the November before then, they have seen actually greater than 30% losses, and we're in that right now. And out of the streaks, we've had 3 streaks, right, for Novembers being bearish. 2 of them had 3 bearish Novembers, and then 1 that was not as bearish afterwards. And only 1 of them had 2, and then 1. I know that might sound confusing, but I'll just try to go over it again, right, real quick, in case I lost anybody. 1, 2, 3 bearish Novembers, and then you had a not so bearish November, okay, a moderate pullback. And then you actually did it again where you had a less than 20% pullback here at the end of the bull cycle. And then you had 1, 2 bearish Novembers in a row, and then this was your one exception. So you had 3, and then you had 2, and then you had a moderate one. But this was also post-halving, not pre-halving. And then after that you had 1, 2, 3, and then after 3 you saw 1. So you had 1 that was 2 greater than 20% Novembers to the downside, and you only had 1 that was 2 greater than 20% Novembers, and then it had a moderate retracement. I know that using numbers on numbers kind of makes the words confusing, but all in all, the statistics kind of would dictate that this November won't be good, guys. We actually very well could see the bearish price targets that I was calling for back here. Smooth Operator or Legend, whatever you go by on. I believe it's the same person. You've been talking about prices going lower, man. I thought you were crazy. I'm kind of starting to see it. That scares me for altcoins, you guys. It really does scare me for altcoins a lot. Seeing a move back to your 618 golden retracement should not be thrown out, guys. The volume's not there. We are in very, very, very like bullish media times. Everyone's so pumped and excited, man. Like it would make sense to throw people off. Caution, man. It makes me want to go back and just rewrite all the titles on my videos that I made today and be like, hey guys, some shit might be hitting the fan. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry if I've droned on or said things that no one agrees with, or it might be confusing. I don't know how I'm sounding, but very bearish. I'm going to use my bearish template for this picture. I only use this where the bear is like clawing Bitcoin picture. I only use that whenever I'm like really expecting shit to be bad. So it's deserving right now. That's all I got to say, man. If you like the video, leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. If things crash, guys, if we see this huge crash with Bitcoin and altcoins take a shit, I don't recommend playing the game, because we have seen dramatically fast recoveries coming out of that. We've seen dramatically fast, so don't play the game. If we see a dramatic drop like that, what should you do? Buy more. Just buy more and sit on your hands. Don't panic sell. Please do not panic sell. This is a warning. This is technical analysis. This is not financial advice. But just be smart with your money, guys. Don't let this shit shake you out, because that's what it does, and then it recovers quickly, and then you're fucked. Do not, and pardon my English, but do not let this market fuck you. Just really don't, okay? Take care. If you like the video, I appreciate the thumbs ups. We're already almost at 1,000 likes. This took a totally different tone than I really thought it would. And I'm going to go have nightmares now. So take care. Bye-bye.